Hi there, I'm Paddy Byrne and welcome to another episode of Free Falling Through Canvas Apps. In this episode, I'll show you how to make a basic Hamburger navigation menu. We'll go back to the Easy Opportunity Management app because that's my playground, that's where I like to try new things out. So we're going to enter phase 2 of the build of that. I'll introduce you to using custom components and I'll mention some of the hurdles that I faced and how I overcame them. We'll also look at setting the X, Y, width and height properties of components dynamically. Now, there are many different ways how to make a Hamburger navigation menu. From the resources I looked at, everyone puts their own little twist on it. So this is my twist on how to make a Hamburger navigation menu, and I hope it helps.
So since the last episode, I've renamed the browse screen and the edit screen, just so they're a bit more meaningful, and I've added 3 more screens: home, reports and scan. Each of these screens are blank, they're exactly the same content. They say the name of the screen and then a button which takes you to the opportunity screen. We're going to make a custom component, and since we started building this app before custom components were on general release, we don't have the custom components functionality yet. In order to add that, we have to click File, Settings, Advanced Settings, and then if you scroll down to Experimental Features, you can switch on Components. And now that we've enabled it, you can see the Components section. Now, components aren't an experimental feature anymore. It's just because we've created this app, we started building this app before they were general release, that we have to enable them. You might not have to do that step. If we click on Components, add a new component, and let's call that Hamburger menu. You'll see it's very similar to a canvas. The first thing we need to do is modify the height and the width, or the whole component will be that size. To help you determine what the height and width should be, I like to just draw something rough on one of the screens of our apps. And so I would say our menu component is probably going to be that size. We'll round that down just to make it nice. 375 by 700, let's say. Then we'll cut that, so Control X. We'll set the width to 375 and we set 700 for the height, and then we'll paste that rectangle. That's what's got the background for our menu. Next, we'll add a cross icon and a hamburger icon. So the hamburger menu icon will open our menu and the cross close the menu. And from the items in our navigation menu, we're going to insert a gallery. And just resize that to fit. You can design this whatever way you want. And the items in our gallery are going to be made up of a collection. So on the start of the app, we'll use the clear collect function, which we've used before, to create a collection of menu items, and each record in menu items will have a name and a screen. The great thing about collections is you can pass the screen as an object into a cell in the table. And I'm going to add an entry, exact same as that, for each of my screens. And when completed, collection will look like that. If we run the on start, we can view the menu items collection. Now they are there. So let's add that to our gallery and our component. That's looking quite good. I'm not going to do the icons for these in this episode, that's something I'll show you later. And we'll stick that onto one of the screens. You set the custom controls from this custom tool. And we'll bring that right to the front. Now that doesn't do anything just yet, so let's add some functionality to it. The first thing we'll do is make it actually navigate to the screens. And so to do that, I'm going to change the onSelect property of the gallery to navigate. And remember, each record in this data source has a screen property, so we can say this item.screen. And if we preview that, Reports takes us to the reports screen. Scan takes us to the scan screen. Home takes us to the home screen, and opportunities will keep us where we are. Next we need to find a way to hide the components in the hamburger menu when the hamburger menu button is pressed. This is the bit that was quite tricky, because components are quite isolated. They don't share variables with the rest of the app, and the rest of the app can't share variables with the components, but they both have access to collections. So we're going to add another collection to our app on start, and that collection is only ever going to contain one item. Which will have a value of initially false, because we don't want to show the menu. So now that we have a show menu value in our app, let's go back to our component. In our show hamburger menu icon, let's amend the onSelect of that. Because we're showing the hamburger menu, we want to change that record in the collection so that its value is true. And to do that, we'll use the update if function. And this is a function we've not used yet. What that does is it will update each record within a dataset or collection where it meets a certain condition. So what that'll do is it'll update any rows in the show menu collection that have a value of false, and they'll change that value to true. Now remember, there's only ever going to be one row in that collection. And you get this warning here. If you hover over, you'll see what that means. It just warns you that a formula within the component is manipulating a collection. But that's what we want to do. That's what we're intending to do, so we don't need to worry about that. We'll use the same formula in the close one, except we'll look for all records that have a value of true and change it to false. So essentially just changing that record. So that should show and hide our menu. We also want to hide the menu on select of one of the items. So let's just do that using the same formula. Next, what we need to do is set the visible property on each of these components to the value of the record in the collection. And let's see how that functions. That looks okay, aside from this hamburger menu icon out there. Before I fix that, I just want to show you something else. To do that, I'm going to just copy and paste the hamburger menu onto each of our other screens. I'm not going to do the edit opportunity screen because there's no need for it there. Have a look at this when I preview it. I can't press this side of the button. It's only when I go out with the hamburger menu control that I get access to that, and that's because the hamburger menu control sits on top of everything. So I don't have to just move the position of that icon to the left. I also have to shrink down the whole space that the component takes up. Let's start off by moving the hamburger menu icon over to the same place as the close icon should be. Now we do that by amending the X property. The X property represents the horizontal position of the component. We want the icon to be the same place as the cross. So if we look at the cross's X property, it's 18, and the current one's 294. And we're just going to use an if statement. We'll check if the value of the show menu record is false. If it is, set it to 18, which is the same as the close icon. If it's not, set it as 294. And we can make the width and the height of the whole component dynamic as well, using the same method. So let's have a look at what sort of values we want to put in width and height. The values there are now are 375 by 700, so that's when the menu is shown. And we're just going to change it to the same dimensions as the icon, which is 64 by 64, plus the padding of 18 by 18 on either side. So that's 64 plus 18 plus 18. Nice round 100. Bit of a flick. So for the whole component, if show menu is false, the width's 100. If it's true, it's 375. And for the height, same again. If the menu is hidden, it's 100. And if it's not, it's 700. Let's have a look at how that looks on the screens. I can push the button at any time, expand the menu. So all I really need to do is tidy up that header. I'll do that in my own time.
So what were my key takeaways from learning how to create a hamburger navigation menu? Well, I created my first custom component, and in doing so I learned some of the limitations that custom components have and that they can't share variables with the rest of the app. But we also learned that they can access and update collections, so we can work around things. Now the benefits of using custom components is that any changes we make to the component get propagated through each instance of the component, and they can also be exported from your app and imported into other apps. And at the end of the episode, we also looked at dynamically setting the position of our components, and that's quite important because that's what we'll look at next week when we animate our hamburger navigation menu. So until then, blue skies.